if the voices you grew up with were doing more than just playing in the background? What if they were quietly shaping how you felt long before you even realized it? The 1970s didn't just introduce singers. It gave the world voices that never really left. From heartbreak to strength, from gentle melodies to bold expression, these women didn't chase trends. They created them. And even today, their songs still land with the same emotional impact. Olivia Newton-John. It starts softer than you expect. A voice that doesn't demand attention but quietly holds it. Olivia Newton-John built her identity on warmth. Songs like Have You Never Been Mellow weren't loud or dramatic. Have you never been alone? They were calming, almost disarming, and that's exactly why they worked. At a time when music was getting bigger, louder, and more experimental, Olivia went the opposite direction. She slowed things down, made them gentler, more personal. Here's the hook. Her voice didn't feel like a performance. It felt like reassurance. That emotional softness gave her crossover appeal: country, pop, adult contemporary. She wasn't limited to one audience. She connected across all of them. And once that connection formed, it stayed. Carly Simon. Stays the same, but if you're willing to play the game. Some songs sound good, others feel like they're speaking to someone specific. Carly Simon mastered that distinction. You're So Vain wasn't just a hit, it became a puzzle. You're so vain, so vain. I bet you think this... A conversation people kept returning to. Who was it about? What did it really mean? Here's the hook. It never gave a clear answer, and that mystery pulled listeners in. Everyone had a theory. Everyone felt involved. And that curiosity didn't fade. It extended the life of the song far beyond its release. But the real strength wasn't just the writing. It was the control behind it. Carly didn't just deliver lyrics, she directed them. Every line felt intentional, every tone deliberate. She wasn't just telling a story, she was shaping how it was heard. And that's what made it stick. Donna Summer. Then everything shifts, the tempo lifts, the energy tightens. Donna Summer didn't just move with disco, she helped shape its identity. Tracks like I Feel Love weren't just songs. They felt immersive. Here's the hook. That sound wasn't typical for its time. Electronic, mesmeric, repeating in a way that drew listeners deeper instead of pushing them away. And over that foundation, her voice stayed perfectly placed, smooth, steady, warm but strong enough to rise above the pulse. It wasn't competing with the music, it was locked into it. She didn't just follow the rhythm, she moved inside it. And that connection is what made the sound unforgettable. Diana Ross. Your every step I make. Some artists grow, others redefine themselves completely. Diana Ross had already reached a massive success with the Supremes. For many, that would have been the peak. But the 1970s told a different story. This wasn't just a continuation, it was a shift. Here's the hook. She didn't step away from the group, she stepped into herself. Her solo work carried a new kind of presence, more personal, more direct, more controlled. Songs like Ain't No Mountain High Enough didn't just showcase her voice, they showcased her identity. There was confidence in the delivery, a sense that she wasn't sharing the spotlight anymore, and she owned it. And that ownership changed how audiences saw her. She wasn't part of something successful anymore. She became the success itself. Roberta Flack.
and hope that deep inside you feel.
Not every powerful voice needs to be loud. Some become powerful by doing less. Roberta Flack understood that better than most. Killing Me Softly doesn't rush.
Killing me softly with this song telling my whole life.
It doesn't demand attention. It slows everything down. Here's the hook. The quieter it feels, the deeper it reaches. Her delivery is controlled, almost delicate, but never weak. Every word lands exactly where it needs to. There's space in her music, space to feel, space to absorb, and that space becomes the experience. By the time the song ends, it doesn't feel like background music. It feels personal, like something you didn't just hear, but something you went through. Carpenter.
Get around some kind of lonely cloud.
And there's something unusual about a voice that feels too perfect, almost effortless, almost untouched. Carpenter had that kind of sound, smooth, balanced, controlled in a way that felt natural. But here's the hook. That perfection wasn't empty, it carried weight. Songs like Close to You seem simple at first.
Just like me, they long to be.
Light melodies, gentle delivery. But underneath that calm surface, there's something else. A quiet emotion, a subtle sadness that never fully reveals itself. And that contrast is what makes it stay. Because the voice sounds perfect, but the feeling behind it isn't. And that difference creates something lasting. Not just a song you remember, but a voice you don't forget. Before we go further, which one of these voices still gives you chills instantly? And more importantly, is your number one already here or still coming? Stevie Nicks.
Blue-green colors flashing.
Some voices don't sound polished. They sound lived in. Stevie Nicks brought a presence that felt different from the moment you heard it. There was texture in her voice, something slightly rough, slightly distant, but completely unmistakable. And that's what made it powerful, because it didn't feel manufactured, it felt experienced. Here's the hook. You don't just hear Stevie, you recognize her instantly. That identity became her strength. In a decade filled with strong vocalists, she didn't try to out-sing anyone. She created a mood instead. Songs like Dreams don't rely on vocal power or dramatic shifts. They move slowly, almost effortlessly, building a feeling rather than forcing one. And Stevie doesn't sit on top of that sound, she blends into it. Her voice becomes part of the atmosphere itself. And that's why her music lingers, because it doesn't push you, it pulls you in. Aretha Franklin. Some titles are given, others are earned. Aretha Franklin didn't just carry the title of Queen of Soul, she justified it every time she performed. From the first note, there's authority. Not loud for the sake of being loud, but controlled, deliberate, and undeniable. And that control is what set her apart. Here's what made her different. She could shift emotion instantly. One moment, soft and restrained. The next, powerful and commanding. And it never felt forced. That transition felt natural, because it came from understanding, not just the music, but the emotion behind it. When Aretha sang, it wasn't just about hitting notes, it was about delivering meaning. And that meaning came through clearly every time. It didn't feel like a performance you were watching. It felt like something you were experiencing. And that level of connection is what turned her voice into something timeless. Linda Ronstadt. Versatility is rare, but mastering it without losing identity, that's something else entirely. Linda Ronstadt didn't just experiment with genres, she moved through them like she belonged in all of them. Rock, country, pop, each one felt natural, not forced. And that's where the difference begins. Because most artists change styles and lose something along the way. Their sound shifts, their identity blurs. But Linda never disappeared inside the music. Here's the hook. No matter what she sang, you always knew it was her. That voice.
I'll be no man's wife.
Strong, clear, emotionally grounded, acted like a constant anchor. Whether it was a soft ballad or a powerful rock track, the delivery stayed authentic, and audiences noticed. She didn't rely on one defining hit, she built consistency, hit after hit, across different sounds, different moods, different audiences. That kind of reliability is rare, because it's not just about talent, it's about control, adaptability, and instinct. And in a decade filled with experimentation, Linda Ronstadt stood out by doing something surprisingly difficult. She made everything feel effortless. Barbra Streisand.
Love, soft as an easy chair.
Some voices don't just perform songs, they reshape them. Barbra Streisand had that kind of presence. From the very first note, there's a sense of control. Not just over the melody, but over the emotion behind it. And that control could have made her sound distant. But it didn't. Here's what made her different. She balanced precision with feeling. Every note was placed exactly where it needed to be. Every phrase delivered with intention, nothing sluchino, nothing wasted. And yet, it never felt mechanical. That's the paradox. Because while her technique was nearly flawless, the emotion still came through clearly.
A fatalistic war.
You could hear the story, feel the weight behind the lyrics. She didn't just sing a song, she interpreted it. And that interpretation elevated everything she touched. Whether it was a quiet moment or a powerful climax, she knew exactly how far to push and when to pull back. That level of awareness isn't common. It's built over time, refined through discipline. And in the 1970s, it made Barbra Streisand more than just a singer. It made her unforgettable. Janis Joplin.
Welcome back home. You know.
And then, everything changes. Because this isn't control. It isn't polish. It isn't perfection. It's something else entirely. Janis Joplin didn't follow structure the way others did. Her voice didn't stay inside neat boundaries. It pushed, it cracked, it stretched beyond what felt safe. And that's exactly why it worked. Here's the hook. She wasn't trying to sound perfect. She was trying to feel real. Every performance carried that energy, unfiltered, unpredictable, and intense. You never quite knew where the note would land, but you knew it would mean something. And that unpredictability created tension, because it always felt like the moment could fall apart. But it didn't. Instead, it held together just long enough to leave an impact. And that impact stayed. There was no distance between the singer and the emotion, no barrier, no restraint. What you heard was exactly what she felt. And in a decade full of powerful voices, that kind of honesty stood above everything else. That's why she's number one. These weren't just singers. They were voices people built memories around, and decades later, they still haven't faded. So now I want to know, which voice from the 1970s would you never replace? And if you think someone deserves a spot here, say it. Because sometimes, the most unforgettable voice is the one we almost forgot.